It is my privilege and pleasure to welcome you to today's State of the District Address. We are delighted to have you this morning. Today's event is an important reminder that educating a child is an extraordinary responsibility, and as you know, it is an endeavor that District 54 is committed to daily. Educating a child is a process that begins at home and continues via partnerships built between the home, the school, day after day and year after year. Education cannot be accomplished or measured in a single day, by a single test, or a single year. Instead, it's a lifelong journey, a continuum of learning that builds upon multiple educational experiences, challenges, and successes. As they say, it takes a village to raise a child, and many are needed along the way. Parents, guardians, teachers, school staff, and administrators, and our valuable community have significant roles in educating children as we strive to create lifelong learners. Here at District 54, we take this role seriously, and we're extremely grateful for you and your shared commitment and support of Morris Grade School and its students. Thank you for choosing to spend your morning here with us. At this time, it is my privilege to introduce the Superintendent of District 54, Dr. Shannon Dudek, so that he can share this year's State of the District Address. Dr. Dudek.
Obviously, I'm not Dr. Shannon. Sorry, no. However, I am Marie Stover, and I am the Assistant Superintendent of Student Services for Morris Elementary School District 54. I'd like to take a moment for thanking you to take the time to attend our 4th annual State of the District. We are very excited to be back with you in person and have the opportunity to share the accomplishments of District 54 over the past year, as well as our hopes for the future. There is a long-standing notion that the community plays a vital role in the education of our children. Community members partnering with Morris Grade School ensures safety and provides support to our staff, students, and family members. Agencies partnering between systems, for example, our local law enforcement, first responders, YMCA, and library, offer protective factors that can contribute to student resilience, as well as help efficiently and effectively address issues when they arise. The support from community agencies and groups allows parents and guardians to better meet the needs of and support their children, thereby helping set the proper conditions for learning and improving school climate for all. Schools that are well connected to the local community create a safe and supportive environment inside and outside of the classroom. Morris Grade School is so very fortunate to have this type of connection with our community. It is now my privilege to once again introduce our District Superintendent, Dr. Shannon Dudek.
That was by design for my ego. So thank you very much. I also want to thank everyone that came today. I know it's a beautiful day. We're excited to get outside. The Derby is going to happen here in a minute, so we're all excited about that. And we're also excited to host an in-person event, which unfortunately hasn't really happened in a while, but we're excited that you're here. I want to thank groups of people, I should say. Our kitchen and cafeteria staff, Chris Lyons, the way she handles everything and prepares meals for us is always top-notch, and thank you very much, Chris. I'd also like to thank the central office staff, and as you can see, all of this work happens because of the work that they do. So Lisa Beeler and Amy and our Jill and our team, thank you so much for everything that you do for us. You make us look way better than we are. I also want to thank the school board, of course, for all their continued support. It's great to see what we've accomplished in 6 years. And today we're going to talk about from 2016 forward, because that's whenever I came to District 54, it's when Dr. Stover came to District 54, it's when we reconfigured our central office team and all those things happened. But the one constant support that we've always had is the constant support of our school board. So thank you very much for the work that you do for us. This wouldn't happen without your support. Thank you. I want to thank Greg Mann for his constant work of taking care of us with our tech. We really take for granted the amount of support we have with our technology department. We're going to add another technology support person here real soon. And I just want to say thank you for everything you do for us too, Greg. admin, you're here. Thank you. We have a great team, and I'm really proud to be part of the team and lead us when we need to, but also be a sidekick when I need to. So thank you for everything that you guys do as well. And I also want to thank our fine art students, our art teachers. Those people did such a great job with our student presentations that we have over on, along the windows. If you haven't had a chance to take a look at them, please do. We always try to identify student work and student activities whenever we have a State of the District. We didn't feel it was time yet to have them come in and sing or play. I have a feeling that'll happen next year. But I want to make sure you take an opportunity to see their work. And this is also something we're going to start a new project at the central office. We're actually going to be rotating in and out student work over the course of the month and really highlighting what our kids do here at District 54. So I know they're not here, but I think definitely deserve a round of applause for their hard work. Now today, we're going to go through basically 3 areas of information for you. And the purpose is, I remember in 2016, 17, 18, 19, there was always conversation about transparency, communication, information. And I will tell you that in most public schools, that's a challenge that we all face, is providing enough information to people that really want to know. And we always have an open door policy in District 54 in any area. If people want to talk and come have a conversation about anything that we do, please do. But sometimes we have to do more. And today the purpose is really to offer a glimpse of what we do. We're going to see some information, a lot of numbers, we're going to see data, we're going to see our strategic plan that our committee worked really hard at developing. And really the purpose is we want to give people an opportunity to see what we do here in District 54. Unfortunately, if we don't tell our story gets created by others. And that's not what we want to do, because we're really proud of what we do in District 54. So, as we go through, there will be opportunities to really understand where we are. There will probably be some opportunities where you won't quite understand what we're talking about, and that's okay too. Because this information that we're sharing today is not just for you, but hopefully for the thousands of people that are going to watch it whenever we post it into the social media universe. So, any questions that you see, any information that you'd like to learn more about, or any conversation you'd like to have, my door is always open. So please don't ever feel obligated not to come talk. I would love to have you talk about District 54 because the little secret that I have, I love what we do, and I'm proud of what we've accomplished. So I'd love to talk to anyone about that. So we're going to start today really focusing on student achievement to start. And again, I'm not going to stand up and write, or I should say speak on just a script. That's not what I do. But one thing I want you to understand is these are just going to be topic areas that we're going to highlight. So make sure, again, if you have questions to let me know. We focus 2 areas of assessment, really 3. I usually pull this state assessment piece out of what we talk about when we talk about student achievement. And I know that my people in the state wouldn't like hearing that as much, but I know we have consistency inside of our testing when we use our local assessments. So with our middle school students, we use the MAP testing, or NWEA, and for K-5, we focus on our FastBridge data. So whenever we talk about student achievement today, I want you to understand that we're focusing on and comparing against our national averages, okay? We don't look at our data compared to neighboring school districts. I don't feel that that's fair. I also don't feel that this is the whole child of education based on what we see in the test analysis or an assessment. And I want to be clear with that. I'm going to show you test data, but I don't think that that's the most important thing that we do here. Now, that might give you some eyes raised, but understand that we educate the whole child. We educate all pieces of the child's life when they come to District 54. We take care of their needs, whether it's food, shelter, service, but we also educate kids. Well, let's be real, we have to make sure we do everything we can for our students. When it comes to our junior high assessment data, MAP is simply it's a progress assessment that's it's a computer adaptive test. So it really looks at a student and where they are and how they're testing, and it basically changes their questions and really helps us understand where they are. So whenever we look at MAP data for grades 6 through 8 here at District 54, again, whenever we look at the average national norm at 40% or above, we're not where we want to be. In 6th grade in reading, 45% of our students are at standard, 43% math. 69% 7th grade with reading, 43% math. 43% at standard in reading for 8th grade, 38% math. You can see the numbers down below in parentheses. Those are the students tested. So even though we have, in 6th grade, we had 100 students tested, we have more than 100 students. But it's another example of students that move in, move out. It's another example of students that aren't here. It's another students with challenges that we can't even test all of our kids. I want you to understand that. 95% of our kids in 7th grade test. It's not even close to the amount of kids that we have. I just want you to understand that we have a lot of challenges when it comes to assessing kids. We also test every child in District 54. There are some districts, and I'll give you a little secret, that don't test all kids. For example, some school districts don't test IEP kids, special ed students. Do you feel that that's a fair, accurate assessment? Or do you think it's respectful for the kids in their district that don't get tested whenever it's time to start analyzing data on a public scale? I don't feel that's appropriate. All of our kids in District 54 are tested. So these are our averages for student achievement in 6th through 8th grade for math data for our students in District 54. Also understand that we track our data for longitudinal understanding. We also look at student growth data, which is an important piece of what we do. And I want you to understand too, because whenever we look at our data today, and you see the data, next year when we come back, and then the following year when we come back, we're going to look at longitudinal data in relation to COVID lockdowns or shutdowns, and looking to see if we truly have learning loss in District 54. Because you're also going to hear, if you haven't already, the term learning loss. Some people are going to use it in crisis to their advantage. Have you ever heard that or seen that? And I think learning loss is going to be a phrase that you're going to hear about quite a bit in relation to selling textbooks, maybe supplemental services, things like that. But I don't want to sound too biased. Well, let's just see what our data looks like here in a couple of years or next year looking at growth. The next area I want to talk about are for our K-5 students, and that relates to FastBridge. So FastBridge is also an adaptive test. It's based on curriculum-based standards. And again, it measures our K through 5 students. FastBridge is a test that's used by quite a few states to actually help identify dyslexic students. So we also use it as part of our screening for that. So FastBridge is a little bit more challenging to read, and that's okay. But you can see going back through the data whenever you have an opportunity to look at the slides on your laptop in your home or your desk. And you'll be able to see where we are in relation to K-5 students. In relation to, for example, 5th grade, I'm really proud of place value. 93% of our students are at national average for place value. You can see that, let's go over here for general math in 1st grade, for example, 55% of our students are at standard. You can see that we have areas that are really good, and we have areas that need some work. One thing that we've really focused on here in the last few months that we're going to move forward is we're going to start identifying specific grade levels, and then specifically grade level teachers and sections, and what are some things that we can do really well, and where are some places that we need to have more intensive support. So these are areas that we look at with our FastBridge data, and we want to make sure that we're really focusing on where students need the most support. You can see that we also have data in relation to our FastBridge reading data. You can see again, I'm just going to look at phonemic awareness. 97% of our students are at grade level in 5th grade, at standard in 5th grade, right? You can see that we have phonics and fluency in 1st grade, we're at 45%. You can also see that we have 44% phonemic awareness in kindergarten. Now, we know, because we work with this on a daily basis, there are things that we're doing in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade that we don't quite get into yet in K1, but there are conversations that we have recently that maybe we need to start looking a little more holistically at what we do with our reading curriculum, for example. This is the data, the conversations that we have as your district leaders to really identify where we can help students with student achievement. And then finally, whenever we create a bar graph to really get a good understanding of where we are based on the national average, this too is like our map data that I shared with you. You can see that 67% of our 5th graders are at standard in reading, 38% in kindergarten are at standard. You can see 43% 1st grade, yet 58% in 4th grade. Math is the same way. We have higher scores in math. We do things, we have more, I should say, a more consistent curriculum for math, K-5, and I would expect in the years to come, we're going to see more consistent scores in reading K-5, okay? But these are some of the conversations that we have. You can also see below, just like before, 109 kindergarten students were tested, 110 fifth grade students were tested. Those aren't all of our students in those grade levels. Okay. Moving on. Let's talk about finances. We all love to talk about finances. Give you a little background, District 54. We don't have any money. See if you're awake. We have, and don't get me wrong, we collect quite a bit of revenue from our taxpayers, which I'm incredibly grateful for. We also spend quite a bit of taxpayer dollars in taking care of the programs, the people, and the opportunities that we have for our students. But I just want to be really clear with everyone. We're going to go over some data that's going to show you the growth that we've made since 2016. Remember, I said at the beginning, 2016 is whenever Shannon Dudek came to District 54. 2016 is whenever we hired Dr. Stover. 2016 is whenever we reconfigured our central office staff. 2016 is also the time when Kathy Perry from Saratoga School District called me on the phone and said, do you mind if I talk to you about what I think you could do to really help District 54 get out of the bind? Of course, for those that know me, I said, absolutely. I'd love to talk to you about that. But I want to be clear with you. We are in an incredible school building. We've talked about this, I guess, now for 4 years that I've been standing in front of you. But this building is very expensive. And over the course of time, a lot of things have happened in District 54's school community since this building was built. Collins Station left. We had a recession in 2008. Our EAV actually is just approaching what it was, I think Jill's here, in 2008, 7, something like that. We're just finally approaching that number from this year from where we were. So when I say that, there are a lot of challenges that happen in District 54. District 54 also doesn't have opportunity to develop commercial property like other districts around us. So what that means is that we depend heavily on the burden of our taxpayers with property tax revenue. Now we hope in the next year or two we're going to have some conversations about alternative ways to generate revenue, and I think you'll be excited about that. I'm not prepared to talk about it yet, but it's definitely in the works. So there are some things that we can do. But right now we're really focused on our budget currently and what we can do in District 54. So to start, again, I want to talk about where we were at versus where we are. So in 2016, this slide really demonstrates our revenue, our fund balances based on where we were in 2016 and 2021. You can see we've nearly doubled our fund balance when it comes to our total funds in reserve that we've built here at District 54. Now I'm not going to go column by column, but again, in working with our local superintendents, Kathy Perry specifically, working with our taxpayers, working with our school board, we understood that we could really do some things creatively while still paying for a school building that we're in and paying hefty debt repayment every year. We'd still be able to grow as part of District 54, even though we had some real strong financial challenges. So you can see in this slide, over the course of the last 6 years, we've really been able to build our total fund balance. Okay? We're very proud of that. The next chart really helps demonstrate as a visual that you can see whenever we started in 2016, you can see the growth all the way until 2021. Now part of this, and I will say that we have received federal COVID relief dollars that helped this year. Probably looks like we've saved a lot more than we have, but we've been able to take COVID relief dollars and apply it where we'd be able to build our fund balance. Like I said earlier, whenever we built the school back in the early 2000s, the debt restructuring was actually set up to the majority, or I should say, greater debt payments were going to be required at the end of the term of the building. Well, we're at the end of the term of the debt repayment now, and there were balloon payments that were responsible to be paid, and I believe there were 7 years of those, or 8 years of those. So we knew that we were going to have to build our fund balances because the debt repayment balloon payments were coming due. So in turn, whenever we started building fund balance, we knew that we would have to save because ultimately we get to a place where we would save as much as we can to pay the fund balance, and then our fund balance would actually decrease because we would have to pay back the balloon payments. And that's really important to understand, because next year whenever you come, you're going to see the fund balance probably in this area, because we are going to have to pay dollars back. So we had to build our fund balances to help meet our needs, because I want to say in the next slide or two, remember, we've not raised taxes in District 54, and that's important to understand. Our tax rate has never increased in District 54 since 2016, and that was a pledge that we made. So when we tried to build fund balance, we didn't want to raise taxes, so now we're at this point, probably the highest point we're going to be at for a little while. We're going to come down a little bit because we're going to have to finish paying our debt balloon payments without raising taxes. So that was a real strategic way not to be a greater burden on District 54. And this is the slide I was mentioning, our tax rate history of District 54. Prior to 2016, the tax rate considerably rose. I believe in 5 years it rose about 50 cents. So that's why we really focused when we came to District 54, we were going to stay at $3.60. You can see since 2015, we haven't gone above $3.60. And I want you to understand our focus is going to be to still do that. Another important number is you can see that almost all of our tax dollars are collected in District 54. A lot of districts don't have that. A lot of districts have maybe 97% or 96%. Nearly 100% of all of our tax dollars are paid in District 54. And that's a real testament to the taxpayers at District 54 to do their part. And I thank you for that. So, as we've been able to do all these things, we've been actually able to increase our debt rating here at District 54. Now, debt rating is it's similar to like your credit score. If you were a homeowner and you asked to get a rate and you want to make sure you have a good credit score to get a good rate. Well, in District 54, on this side, you can see the challenges that we've been faced with over the course since 2010, where we were at A1 status in 2010. Well, if you look over here, right there, we're doing a pretty good job, right? You can see as the other challenges happened, such as College Station closed, the recession, things like that, our credit score started to decrease. So all of a sudden, now we're at A2. Okay, well that's a little scary. Uh-oh, in 2014, we're down to A3. Well, this big one rating that you see here is more of a short-term bond rating, so we're not going to pay attention much to that. But in 2016, we were at our lowest credit rating that I believe in history of District 54, and that is an A3 rating. But we've worked really hard. In 2018, we were moved to an A2 rating. In 2021, we were moved back to an A1 rating. And actually, we have a Moody's call next week that our hope is that we'll actually increase more in our credit rating here in the near future. That's our goal. Now, there are some challenges in District 54 that really are out of our hands. We're only going to be able to go as high as we probably in this rating, AA2, AA1 maybe, but probably not. And that's because of what our surrounding community can really help increase the score for the Moody's credit rating, and that's really out of our control. But our goal is that we definitely want to be a AAA3, AAA2. That's our goals where we want to be. But I want to share with you where we are. And the Moody's credit rating score is really important because it tells us kind of where we can be on our balance and our rate and help reduce our tax burden. The other thing, or I should say the next area I'd like to talk about is our debt repayment. And we've been talking about that quite a bit whenever I said that the district is paying off the building, the community is really working hard to keep our tax rate down. At the end of the day, we have balloon payments that have to be made. These next 4 years are going to be really important. Well, I should say 5, because there's going to be a big payment right there. So I just want you to understand when I share with the community, everything that we do is really to pay this off, then make sure we have everything that we need for our students. So even though it seems like we're really heavily discussing finance, if we can't afford teachers, if we can't afford programs, we can't have them. And at the end of the day, we focus all of our energy, and when I say us, I mean central office staff, business department, admin, school board. When we focus our attention on paying off our debt and providing resources to our students and teachers, our teachers and students don't have to worry about things that we worry about. Does that make sense? Our job is to take care of the things that they don't need to worry about. Their job is to teach. Their job is to provide services for students. Our goal is to do everything we can to eliminate the challenges that this has on programs we offer students. But I want to make sure I share this with you. It's a slide that we share every year. We update it all the time because we want to make sure it's the most accurate information for you to understand what we have to pay for in District 54. financial profile. This is going to be a quick slide. You can see on the left, this is the state's rating for us. We go up and we go down. We go up and we go down. But I'm really proud of where we were in 2020 year. We were at 3.25, which is one of our highest that we've ever been, and that's in review status. And our hope is that we'll continue to be at that level, and our ultimate goal was to become a financial recognition school district. And that's our hope. The final slide I have is in relation to days cash on hand. Now this is an important slide because simply, if you look in 2016, and days cash on hand is this. Let's say hypothetically, the state decides, hypothetically, that they don't want to give us any more revenue from the state. Because every year we collect quite a bit of revenue from the state as part of our evidence-based funding dollars from the state of Illinois. But let's say that they decided not to. Let's also decide that we didn't collect any more tax dollars. In 2016, we would have roughly 63 days left to exist, pay for our people, provide programming, those sorts of things for our students. Due to our work within our fund balances, we've been able to generate, actually increase up to 103 days. We did have 114, but we are down to 103. And our goal is to continue to build our days cash on hand. And for you, it's a really good understanding to see, again, growth across fund balance growth. Okay? Is that enough finance for everyone in the room? Not for Jill. But the next area I want to talk about, the next area I want to talk about is our strategic plan. Now our strategic plan, for those of you that aren't aware, every school district has a strategic plan or a school improvement plan or some type of plan to help continue on what we do inside of the school district. In District 54, we have a strategic plan. The more strategic plan is constantly being updated, constantly being looked at. But really, every 5 years or so, we bring a group of stakeholders together. We try to identify areas that we need to work on, growth areas that we want to build, and then we want to make sure we do what's best for our students based on the plan. So whenever we build goals inside of our school district, our focus is to follow the plan, follow goals to help build for our students. The strategic plan that we worked on this year was actually led by Gary Zabelka. Dr. Zabelka is part of an organization that comes and helps support school districts do a lot of things, but strategic planning is one of them. The strategic plan stakeholder group included parents, teachers, administrators, and school board members, and Dr. Zabelka to help us build and formulate a plan that will be good for our school district. The strategic planning committee met over the course of 4 sessions to update the mission and vision statements, the belief statements, and goals. The goal areas include curriculum instruction assessments, technology, physical stewardship, communication, social emotional learning, and student supports. I think that you can understand by looking at those growth areas, post-COVID, I want to say post-COVID so bad, post-COVID, that we can see areas that we need to work on for kids. Now initially, social emotional learning and support services were part of other areas that we were going to include, but we realized as we were completing this that we needed to provide more supports in those areas. So we actually added growth areas in social emotional learning and student supports, and we're going to go over that here in a second. In focusing on our mission and vision, empowering students and staff every day. That's our mission. Our job, our overriding support is empower people every day. And it's really that simple. Our vision statement is, I don't know if I can read it. Creating a foundation to develop individuals who are prepared for the future is our vision. So when we think about what we want to do with students, simply that. Our belief statements, as you can see, we're not going to read through all those, but I want you to understand our focus whenever we were completing the strategic planning session is that we wanted to really look at our vision, our mission, our beliefs, what do we do? There's also another part of what we do called our district norms. That's something that Mr. Raffel works really hard at with our staff. What are our norms that we're going to occupy and really operate under in District 54? All those pieces work together to really develop a constant, consistent way of really working with our district. And I think you can see, we even have table marquees and other marketing pieces that we use all over the community and the district to help really communicate our mission and vision. Also, in all of our classrooms and all of our spaces, those will also be included because we want everyone to understand our goal is always going to be based on our strategic plan. Our focus is always our strategic plan. So whenever we start having a conversation about the growth areas, I'm going to start with curriculum and instruction. We know curriculum and instruction is one of the most important things we do, if not the most important thing we do. I'm not going to go through all of the strategies to really work toward the goal, but really the number one goal inside strategic management or inside the curriculum and instruction is to develop a consistent culture of learning focused on growth. And it's that simple. We can look at achievement like we did earlier, and I think achievement is really important, but I think it's more important to look at growth. I think a lot of times we don't talk about things like student mobility. We have students that move in and out of our district every day. We have students that come in from all places, and whenever in public school, you guys, I believe you know, when they show up to your door in public school, our job is to educate them. Understand? It doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter where they come from. It doesn't matter their needs. When they show up at our door, we teach them. And at the end of the day, we need to focus on growth, because this is a word that gets forgotten. And as we know as adults, we need to grow every day. And I think a lot of times we want to look at a snapshot in time, like an achievement test, and say, well, no, you have a good school district, or no, you don't have a school district. I don't believe that. I believe we can look at growth of a student and identify if we're doing what we can for kids. The next area I want to focus on is technology. We know technology is an important piece of what we do, not just here, but also in our world. We know that in relation to technology, our job is to prepare students and staff for tomorrow. We know that we don't have enough STEM opportunities. We want more. We know we don't have an esports program. We want one. We know we have more specific curriculum opportunities for our kids by using technology. We need to do that. So our goal is going to be really to focus heavily on technology and supports for our students. And if we can't do things with a person, with a teacher, with a staff member, in providing supports for students academically, we're going to find them virtually. So I just want you to understand that technology is such an important part of what we do here. During COVID, for example, I know sometimes we don't want to talk about things that happened during COVID, but there were some great things that happened during COVID for us. For example, we talked about this last year, 30,000 students here in Morris were fed through our cafeteria thanks to Chris Lyons and her team. Also, all of our students in Morris, District 54, have high-speed internet access at home. I want to say that again. All of our students have access at home. You may hear about the digital divide in other places. That's not here. Students have Chromebooks that go home with them every day to be connected to the internet, connected to high-speed access. So we don't want to feel that we're not doing the best we can for our students through tech. And we feel, and I think that makes a lot of sense, we need to prepare our students for the future, and technology is one place that we can do that. We talked quite a bit about fiscal responsibility and kind of where we are in fiscal growth earlier, but our goal is simply this. We want to maintain fiscal health of the district for a long-term sustainability. Our focus, like I said earlier, highest financial profile we can. We want to maintain the rate of 360. That's not going to change. That's going to be something we are consistently doing for a long time. We'll always monitor student enrollment. I had someone ask me yesterday about residency in District 54. We work on residency every day. I want you to understand, we never discount when someone comes to us and says, I don't believe so-and-so lives in district, or we find out that someone doesn't live in district. We have such detailed investigation with that. We work with the Morris Police Department. I know Officer Bogard works with the admin all the time about those challenges. So we take that very seriously because that becomes the burden of the taxpayer if someone doesn't live in a school district. And I also want to say that we partner with the Morris Elementary Education Association, our union, and we work very closely together, and we work very hard to maintain costs that are affordable for our school district. So just understand that we're always looking at ways that we can continue to be responsible while you still grow at District 54. We always want to continue to build our communication, and part of it is the state of the district is one way. We want to maintain family engagement while increasing community collaboration and connections. We know that we have to connect with our community. It's something I embrace. I love talking to the community. I love sharing our message and our story. But I also love doing things like promoting our app, promoting our website. You can see even in this room, we have digital marquees that continually provide information for our families. We have an outdoor marquee that everyone looks at all the time and sees when they drive by District 54. So our job is to continually improve and increase our student engagement. As a matter of fact, if you're not following us on District 54 on our app or website or Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, you'll know that right now we have a need for more PTO involvement. We would love to see anyone that would like to be involved with our student family engagement opportunities and activities to please reach out and join our PTO and be involved. We have a golf outing coming up on June 15th, a little shameless plug. If you'd like to play in our golf outing or donate or sponsor, we'd love to have you. But that's going to be a fun time where we can help continue to build what we do at District 54. The next goal area I want to talk about, like I said earlier, is the social emotional piece. Now, we know coming out of COVID and coming out of the challenges that we really, all of us experienced the last 2 years, we know what impact it had on us as adults. Imagine the impact it had on us as our children. Our goal is to really support students to develop skills to strengthen self-worth, enhance coping skills, and form positive connections with others. We know that we can help students meet their needs if we can help them individually, and that's something that we want to do. I know Dr. Stover works tirelessly on this program to really help and do what's best for our kids. Our admin focuses on this, our teachers are focused on this, our supports are focused on this. I just want everyone to know that it's such an important piece of what we're trying to do. We can never teach our students and get them to where they need to be academically if they're not there interpersonally. And that's something that we're really working on. And then finally, within our strategic management plan, our student support services. We continually improve and increase our student support services. We've added staff, we've looked at doing all sorts of things like special ed coordinator, speech and language personnel, special ed services, teaching staff, certified aides, non-certified people, all this work that we've done. And our goal in the student support services category includes provide students with supports to meet their academic, social, emotional, and physical needs. Again, we're going to do everything we can to help students get where they need to be. Now, this concludes the slides, but there's one area that I haven't talked about that some people have noticed, some people are directly impacted, and that's the Shabbat project that we're working on right now. I didn't include it in the slide deck, but I want to make sure we talk about it today. You've seen and we've talked about how we're able to really build our fund balances and do what we have to do for our community and for our school district while still growing. Well, a couple years ago, I talked about the district administrative building that we built. It's an incredible space. We have received tons of compliments. We did it for such a great cost. And we partnered with Norwood Construction, also with our architects, Studio GC, and the work that they did with us, and built an incredible admin space. Well, when I came to District 54 in 2016 and we really started talking about what was needed at District 54, Shabbat upgrades were at the top of the list. And we really didn't know how we were going to pay for that. We really didn't know how we were going to do it. We saw the other challenges in our conversations, in our fiscal conversation. So we just continued to work hard and try to develop ways to do it. And finally this year, in partnering with Norwood Construction, partnering with Representative Welter for his commitment to us, also with our architects and our school board, we were able to put together a plan to really do what we could in working at Shabbat. Now, like we talked about before, we don't have any students at Shabbat. I want to be clear. We are the owners of the building, and we have tenants in the building. Joliet Junior College, Morris Hospital, the Grundy County Special Ed Co-op are in the building. We still own it. We still have to provide support to it. So if you haven't yet, I recommend you drive by the building, take a look at it. There's going to be a new roof on it here in the next few months. We're working on it right now. Also, the small gym space inside the building is totally being renovated. The floor, the bleachers, painted walls. There will be operable windows at Shabbat, which has never been the case. You'll be able to open them, which is nice. And then also we're doing some other block and brick work around the perimeter. We've had a lot of people reach out lately and say, what's going on over there? And no one really knew. I'm talking publicly about what we're doing, and I'm really proud of that. So if you get a chance, please stop by and take a look at it. We are going to have an open house as we get closer to the end. The hospital and District 54 and JJC, we want to do really an open house where people can see what the building looks like today versus when students were there and maybe when you graduated from there It's very, very different than what it was. So I'll just say that. So with that, I want to conclude today's festivities. I appreciate everyone that came today. I also appreciate anyone that views this on our social media platforms or any public domain. Thank you. We look forward to doing this again next year, roughly the same time. And I just appreciate you coming. Thank you very much.